Says a suspicious man with a gun and a knife was taken into custody Friday after he was found inside State Farm Stadium, according to the Washington Post. The Secret Service says the unidentified man was exhibiting suspicious behavior inside the stadium when agents approached him. The report says the man claimed to be law enforcement but showed fake credentials. He's in custody, and we're going to keep you updated on this report. And tomorrow's memorial for Charlie Kirk has been designated a Tier 1 level event, equivalent to a Super Bowl.
Fox's Matt Fenn reporting. ICE agents had problems with protesters in Chicago outside a facility on Broadview. Fox's Madeline Rivera has details.
Several people were arrested after clashing with federal agents outside of an ICE facility in Broadview, Illinois. Videos show protesters trying to block the center's gate, leading agents to fire tear gas. DHS accused the protesters of assaulting law enforcement, slashing car tires, and blocking the facility's entrance. Protesters, meantime, say the agents are the ones ramping up tensions. The Broadview facility has become a flashpoint as the region sees a crackdown in immigration enforcement. The Democratic mayor of Evanston, Illinois, was among those in the crowd, and he says they will not be deterred. This comes as DHS says ICE agents are facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them.
America's listening to Fox News.
From around the world, Trey Yingst, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel. To Washington.
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News.
President Trump says he...
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Charging him with murder. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending this hour. The Johnson County Prosecutor's Office is filing murder charges against 21-year-old Isaiah Peak Jr. Police say Peak pulled out a gun and shot at the brother to the mother of his child, but missed and instead hit 22-year-old Badan Maburu, killing him. The shooting happened at an apartment complex in Greenwood Tuesday night after Peak and the woman got into a dispute. Johnson County Chief Deputy Prosecutor Matthew Kabaki said Maburu was not at all part of the argument and called his death the ultimate tragedy. Peak is now sitting in the Johnson County Jail awaiting trial. Body cam footage is now available from a July incident involving IMPD officers and a man who had shot and killed his wife earlier that day. The video shows 76-year-old Walter McNary leading police on a chase, firing multiple rounds at their police vehicles before being shot and killed by return fire, the incident happening back on July 24th. The Indianapolis Colts are looking to go 3-0 for the first time since 2009. They're on the road for the first time this season in a divisional game with the Titans in Nashville. Colts coverage begins at 10 a.m. with the Colts pregame huddle on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Countdown to kickoff then starts at noon. Then on 93 WIBC, coverage of the Indiana Fever's second round Game 1 against the Las Vegas Aces begins at 2:45. Tip-off set for 3 o'clock. The Fever advancing to the WNBA semifinals, something they haven't done since 2015. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight, partly cloudy. That isolated chance continues. Low temperatures in the mid-60s. For Sunday, isolated chance in the morning, becoming scattered in the afternoon and evening hours. High temperatures in the lower 80s. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Whether it's the good food or the friendly mood, you can count on Indiana to never lose when it comes to tailgating. And we want to see you at every game. That's why Hubler's got you covered with the best warranty around. So kick off the season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Right now, you can buy with 0 down. Choose from over 2,000 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. We'll pay top dollar for your trade. Bring Hubler your old car for an immediate appraisal. Zero Down delivers, and Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles.
Hubler's got you covered.
Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 convenient locations.
Cover me!
Select models, approved credit. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Join us every Friday right around 5:50 for Beer Sample Friday.
Brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, home of free delivery within 75 miles of their store.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment. And this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're thrilled that you're with us. A lot to get into, as we always have. Hope you're enjoying this afternoon. Turned out to be a beautiful day. Hope you got to get out and bust some primers and enjoy your Second Amendment rights on this gorgeous day. Really pretty day. I know they're talking about rain a little later. We'll see whether that unfolds or not. I was reading about, and in fact, a number of people sent me links to an article about a self-defense shooting that I think every rational person who reads about this self-defense shooting here in Indianapolis would be cheering on the woman who shot a rapist immediately after he sexually assaulted her in her home on Indy's Northeast Side. And this just happened this week. The article that I read about it just posted on the 17th, so just a couple of days ago. But the story, as reported by Fox 59, and I posted a link to this on my Twitter at Guy Relford. If you go there on Twitter or X, give me a follow while you're there if you don't mind. But interesting story, and I wanted to talk about it because it raises, I think, some interesting points about Indiana self-defense law. And listen, like any point of law, especially one that's widely discussed on the internet or otherwise, there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of confusion about what Indiana's law says and doesn't say, and even terminology people use, how people use terms like castle doctrine and stand your ground law and whatnot. Evidences, in my mind anyway, because I field these calls, I have these discussions, answer questions. When I'm teaching my gun law class that I talk about here often on the show, a lot of information there that comes as a surprise to people who had a completely different understanding or interpretation of the law. But this case, again, just unfolded this week. Indy's Northeast Side, over on Meadowlark Drive, not too far from Speedway. And the victim reported to police that a man walked into her home, pointed a gun at her, and raped her there in her home, even while recording the sexual assault on his phone. Now, is there a rational person on earth? Well, rational being the key descriptor, but is there a rational person on earth who, after that description, I should say, wouldn't root for this guy to get shot, for the woman to defend herself righteously and legally, to shoot this guy after such a horrific crime unfolded right there in her home? And make no mistake, I'm rooting for the victim in this situation 1,000% and then some. But the way this was reported, and this is just an issue of Indiana law that I wanted to address, and again, make no mistake, Nothing I say on this show should be interpreted as me doing anything other than rooting for this young lady and cheering her on for her willingness to shoot and shoot at a rapist who just committed that horrible crime right there in her home. It's also, though, an educational opportunity to just talk about how Indiana law works, because the way it's being reported, again, this is by Fox 59, and you can read the article, go to my Twitter, @GuyRelford. It says, after the suspect began to leave, the woman grabbed her own gun and began shooting at her attacker. The back window of a blue Toyota parked on an adjacent street was shattered by that gunfire. So that's a little bit vague. In fact, it's quite a bit vague. After the suspect began to leave, my first question in looking at this legally, and again, I'm cheering her on 1,000%. There's no indication in this article anyway, and this happened here in Marion County. There's no indication that a woman's, has any potential of being prosecuted herself, and I think it would be a huge mistake to do so. But I also want to use this as an opportunity to talk a little bit about what the law says. So after he began to leave, first question that I had was he still in her home? Still within the four corners, or however many corners, of her home when she grabbed her gun and began shooting? That's an important question, because it means if he's in her home, the Castle Doctrine is still implicated. What's the Castle Doctrine? And here's how this works. If you want to read the whole Indiana self-defense statute, easy to do. Just Google. And I'll give you the statute number. It's 35-41-3-2. Just Google it. And the first thing will come up will be the results of that mathematical formula, 35 minus 41, etc. The second thing that'll come up on your Google will be the Indiana statute. And you can read the whole thing. And the way it works, it starts off with a bit of a preamble, and then it's divided up into subsections. And it's all part of one statute, 35-41-3-2, but it has different sections, starting with Section A, Section B, etc. And those different subsections deal with different scenarios and what the law is regarding the use of force, the legal and justified use of force, under different situations, in different situations, under different scenarios. One, it starts off with what I call the general self-defense statute that applies to you no matter where you are. Out in public, it applies in your home as well. That's the general self-defense statute. It talks about when you can use force in self-defense, when you can use deadly force. And then the section after that is what we call the Castle Doctrine, which deals, it's broader than this, but it deals with the specific situation of the use of force in self-defense in your home. That's why we call it the Castle Doctrine, your ability to defend your castle, your home. And what it says is that you are legally justified in using force, including deadly force. It says reasonable force, including deadly force. If you reasonably believe that that force, and again, we're talking about deadly force here. And anytime you shoot a gun at someone, it's deadly force. Hell, we have an Indiana case from the Indiana Court of Appeals. It says simply pointing a loaded gun at someone creates a substantial risk of serious bodily injury. And you know what creating a substantial risk of serious bodily injury is? The definition of deadly force. So if you shoot a gun at someone, even if you miss them, you ought to consider that to be deadly force. And that's going to be the way that plays out legally in just about every circumstance. But this particular subsection of the self-defense statute in Indiana deals with the use of force in your home. And it says you can use reasonable force, including deadly force, if you reasonably believe that that force, deadly force, is necessary is an important word, to prevent or terminate an unlawful attack on or entry into your dwelling. Prevent or terminate, two very important words. So somebody's on your front porch, breaks your front window, and has 1 foot through your front window. They're not in your home yet. And you hear this idiotic general consensus out there has been running around for generations. If you shoot somebody on the front porch, drag them inside. How many times have you heard that? Well, it's completely idiotic, and I always mention this in my gun law class. It's completely idiotic because, A, like the forensic guys aren't going to figure that out. When the CSI crew shows up, they're going to figure out that the person was shot on the front porch and got drug inside. But secondly, it's completely unnecessary from a legal perspective because you can prevent an unlawful entry into your home, your dwelling. And you can do so with deadly force. It says right in the statute, to prevent or terminate an unlawful attack on or entry into your dwelling. Now, it goes on, and it's broader than that, but that's where it starts. So, if this guy that we're talking about, the rapist, I should say accused rapist at this point, was identified in the Fox 59 article as Trayvon Haynes, 23 years old. If he was in her home illegally, it said he walked into her home, pointed a gun at her, and raped her. Walked into her home suggests to me that he was not invited, he was not there legally. If he was not there legally, that's an unlawful entry into her home. If he's already in the home, can she terminate his unlawful entry into her home with deadly force? Yes. To the extent that's necessary, quote unquote. Because keep in mind that and again, I'm dealing with this whole scenario, and I'm addressing it from the perspective of the Fox 59 article, as reported in that particular article. I said after he began to leave, the woman grabbed her own gun and began shooting at her attacker. And again, I'm cheering her on 1,000%. Make no mistake. Is it relevant that he began to leave? Is it relevant that he was still in the house? Is it relevant to the issue of whether her use of force was in fact necessary, quote unquote, to terminate his unlawful entry? Now then it says the back window of a blue Toyota, as I mentioned a bit ago, parked on an adjacent street, was shattered by that gunfire. Does that suggest he was outside her home and leaving the premises? I don't want to speculate. I do not know. I am not guessing on that issue whatsoever. And a shot could have absolutely gone through a window, through a wall. Most construction materials used in a lot of homes are not particularly bulletproof. And bullets can pass through drywall. Bullets can pass through aluminum siding. Brick and whatnot, not so much. But through a window, sure. Through an open door, sure. And I do not know. I do not know how this car on an adjacent street had a window shattered. That raises a question in my mind is whether he was inside, that is the rapist, the alleged rapist, was inside or outside the home. Why is all that relevant? That's what I'll get into, as well as take your calls. You have questions about the use of force and self-defense, including deadly force in your home or otherwise, give us a call, 317-239-9393, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
86, 85, fever.
93 WIBC.
The resilience, the toughness, the grit, the fight, the scrappiness.
What happens next?
2 teenagers were shot and killed.
Happens here.
This maniac stepping and stomping on him.
To honor Kirk's legacy.
In a time of peril to help the U.S.
Stay in the know.
A deep fake video.
While you're on the go.
And if he's okay with that video, I am too.
The crackdown is working.
On air, online, and on Alexa.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class is coming up on October 18th. So you've got a little over a month to sign up. We still have seats available. It's going to be in Avon. Out there at Pinnacle Firearms, we love Parabellum Got my P's mixed up. At Parabellum Firearms in Avon. We love to teach classes out there. They've got a nice, big, comfortable classroom. And you can sign up right online. It's tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses. If you're looking for 5 hours, now you get a little taste of this here on the Gun Guy Show, but this is a detailed discussion with the opportunity to ask all the questions you want right there in the classroom. It's going to be in Avon at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. Sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
At Andy Moore Ford, you're going to get more. Much, much more. With the Get More Guarantee, you always get more savings, more selection, and more for your trade. Buy your vehicle 100% online. Just go to Andy Moore, M-O-H-R, AndyMooreFord.com, and Andy Moore will deliver that car right to your door. Drive off in a new Ford F-150 XL truck for under $40,000 with over 100 vehicles to choose from. And if you rely on commercial trucks for your business, you have to check out Andy Moore Ford. The whole commercial center they've built to make sure your Ford truck or van fits your business needs is absolutely incredible. From medium to heavy-duty F-Series trucks. And they've got the biggest selection of Super Duty trucks in the state. Over 175 Super Duty trucks on the ground and ready to work for you. Talk to Andy Moore Ford, 2713 East Main Street in Plainfield, or online at Andy Moore Ford, M-O-H-R. AndyMooreFord.com.
Zillow ranking Indy number 2 among 2025's hottest markets. Home values have risen and are holding strong. Now is a great time to sell. Hire the team with proven systems to max your equity. I'm talking about real estate expert Mark Dietl. That's what Luke and Emma in Franklin did. They built their dream home. They needed to sell their old place to get the great price to pay for it. Mark Dietl made it easy. Multiple offers in the first weekend, closed in 25 days at the price they needed. Mark Dietl and his team came through big.
Mark Dietl is the best in the business, and he has the guarantee that backs it up. Mark Dietl is the only real estate agent that we recommend, and he guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price or deadline, or he will buy it. You pick the move date, no long-term contracts. That's what separates Mark Dietl. 755-4232, or go to markdietl.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietl.com. Tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-883-3024. 800-883-3024. 800-883-3024. That's 800-883-3024.
Fostech is the family-owned business that makes incredible firearms right here in Indiana. Fostech, created by 2 career firefighters and 1 U.S. Air Force veteran, they create special, unique firearms. American craftsmanship meeting cutting-edge technology. Their Origin 12 shotgun is the envy of the industry, and all their products are designed, machined, assembled, and tested right here in Indiana. Follow Fostech on Facebook and Instagram at Fostech_INC. Find a dealer near you or visit Fostech.com. That's F-O-S-T-E-C-H. Fostech.com. Use promo code WIBC for 10% off your order.
Heat and cool your man cave, attic, garage, or bonus room without adding ductwork with Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splits.
To find out more, just go to AbsoluteComfort.org.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Talking about a self-defense case. Happened on the northeast side of Indy. Not too far from where I am right now. And listen, does a rapist deserve to get shot? 1,000%. You bet. You know what? More rapists got shot, we'd have fewer rapists, which means we'd have fewer rapes, and I'm all for that. There's a couple of points, though, about Indiana self-defense law that I think I can use this incident for in terms of a little bit of education about how the law really works. And here's a fundamental concept. And when I cover this in my gun law class, I always get some looks. I can tell people aren't thrilled about this aspect of the law, and I completely understand why, because it doesn't feel very good. But there's a key concept to just get your head wrapped around, and that is that Indiana has a defense statute, self-defense statute, where typically you have to be preventing something bad from happening. You have to be preventing serious bodily injury to you or another person. That's a rule that applies anywhere you are, inside your home, outside your home, in public. You have to be preventing the commission of a forcible felony. You're preventing something bad from happening. You're defending, right? What we do not have in Indiana, and what most states, in fact, do not have, if not all, is a payback statute that justifies the use of force or self-defense as payback. And again, let me emphasize this, because I don't want to get emails, calls from people who are confused about what my message is here. I'm rooting for this lady who was the victim of a horrible crime. If this is accurate reporting, and if what she reported to police is true, and I have no reason to think it's not, then she's a victim of a horrific crime, and the guy who attacked her deserved to get shot 1,000%, and I'm on her side, and I'm rooting for her as emphatically as I can possibly make that point. But if things unfolded a little differently, this is an important thing for people to know, particularly people who own and carry guns or have guns in their home. And that is, we do not have a payback statute that allows to justifiably use force or deadly force as payback. If the threat is over, or if it's no longer, quote unquote, necessary to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into our homes, then the justification for the use of force, including deadly force, no longer exists. Now, if this guy is still in her home, hey, then she, in my mind, reasonably believed, based on the facts presented in the article I've read, and I've read more than one, had a reasonable belief that the use of deadly force was necessary to terminate his unlawful entry because he hadn't left yet. What if he ran out the door when was running down the driveway? And listen, I don't know whether this was a home or an apartment or what the physical infrastructure looked like, but let's just say hypothetically. And again, I don't want anybody to think I'm rooting against this young lady. Let's say in a different scenario, someone breaks into your home, but now they've left your home and they're running down the driveway and running away from you. Are you still justified in using force against them? The answer is no. Because it's no longer necessary to terminate their unlawful entry into your home. They've already terminated their unlawful entry. They're leaving. What if they're still in your home, but they're running toward the front door? Well, that's where the word necessary comes into play. Is it necessary to use force, including deadly force, to terminate an unlawful entry into your home if they're terminating the unlawful entry all by themselves? Long time ago, what I used to do all the time, this is years and years ago, and I haven't done this in a long time, it'd be fun to start doing this again, is I used to post scenarios on INGO, Indiana Gun Owners. It's a great forum. It's really well run. I know some of the moderators on there, and there's a lot of good information. Like any online forum, yes, you can occasionally run across some knuckleheads, but it's the internet. You're not ever going to get away from that. And for the most part, I think it's really well moderated, and there are some great threads on there, I think very educational. And there's a whole big long thread, by the way, on legislating the Second Amendment that you really ought to keep track of and keep an eye on during the legislative session, whether that's Congress, which goes much longer than Indiana's session, that starts January 1 every year and runs through the spring. And it's a great idea to keep an eye on. But I just put scenarios on there all the time. And I usually would caption them, "Are you going to jail?" And one that raises the same issue I'm discussing here, given the situation in Speedway. One scenario I posted a little bit different. I said, you're at home, you're sleeping next to your wife in your home. and two bad guys break into your home. There's no question it's an unlawful entry into your home. And they have a to-do list, which is to murder you, murder your family, and steal all your stuff. So these are bad guys, they're criminals, they're armed. By the way, is it necessary, if somebody breaks into your home, is it necessary for them to be armed or a physical threat to you or someone else in your home for you to be able to use force to terminate their unlawful entry? No, that's not part of the statute. You don't need to fear getting injured in your home. You simply have to believe it's necessary to terminate their unlawful entry. There's no requirement. It's part of the statute that they be armed, that you fear death or anything like that. But these guys are armed. One of them's got an AK. One of them's got a sawed-off shotgun. Everything's loaded. And they come back into your bedroom with every intention of killing you and killing your wife. But as they walk through the door, your trusty Labrador next to the bed barks. You pick up your 1911 .45 off the nightstand and shoot the first guy that came through the door. He folds like a cheap suit, goes down. Second guy drops his gun, screams like a scalded bobcat, and goes running for the still open front door. You round the hallway corner, chasing after him, and then when he's got 1 foot out the door, still screaming out of fear, having seen his compadre, his fellow criminal, get shot, you shoot him in the back of the head. He's still in your home. He's just got 1 foot through the still open front door as he's leaving. And what I was doing when I posted that scenario on Ingo, this is a long time ago. You can probably find it. You go on there, you post, "Are you going to jail?" But I posted several like that involving different scenarios. And what I was usually doing is I was trying to invite somewhat wrong answers so that I could hopefully correct some misimpressions that I perceived existed about Indiana law. Because what a lot of people have said for a lot of years, go out there and conventional wisdom, which often may be conventional but not necessarily wise, out there is, well, if they're in your home, you can shoot them. If they're in your home, you can shoot them. And for the most part, that's true. And that's why I say it's very relevant whether this guy, the alleged rapist, was still in this young lady's house in Speedway when she picked up a gun and started shooting at him. But I was highlighting the use of the word necessary in the Indiana self-defense statute, because it's not just in the Castle Doctrine portion that talks about your dwelling, but it's also in the general self-defense statute talks about the ability to use force, including deadly force, to prevent serious bodily injury to you or a third person. You have to reasonably believe that's necessary. And that's really my only point in bringing this up. You have to you have to reasonably believe that you're preventing or terminating an unlawful entry into your home for the Castle Doctrine to apply. And the word necessary is an important requirement in that context. And listen, do I think, even in Marion County, do I think a young lady who just experienced a rape, who just suffered through a rape, was a victim of a rape, who defends herself against a rapist, do I think there's a reasonable likelihood that she can or will or should get prosecuted? Absolutely, 100% not. But I want folks to know and understand that the word necessary is in the statute. And payback, and I'm not accusing her of this, I'm not saying it applies. Payback is not part of the scenarios that are justified under Indiana law. Now, I'm going to go back and talk about the word necessary. It's in the statute. That is, you have to reasonably believe it's necessary to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into your dwelling under the Castle Doctrine, or deadly force is necessary to prevent serious bodily injury to you or a third person, or the commission of a forcible felony. That's what's in the general self-defense statute. I'm going to talk about that word and that word being in most states' self-defense law, traditionally under the common law, is, the cases that grew up, and then in the codified statutes that were passed across the country. Why the word necessary, that exists in most states' self-defense laws, whatever form they take, is exactly why we have a stand your ground provision in our self-defense law, and why so many other states have a stand your ground provision in their self-defense law. A lot of people say, oh, well, we have a stand your ground law. Well, we have a self-defense law, and in virtually every subsection of that law that talks about the use of force, and including the use of deadly force, there's a stand your ground provision. And the reason it's there is because of how some courts have applied the word necessary that's in a self-defense statute. Are you confused? You don't see where I'm going? I completely understand. I will parse it all out and explain it completely when we come back, as well as go to the phone lines. We've had a couple people on hold here for a while. We'll go to the phone lines and continue the discussion of the use of force and self-defense, again, highlighted by this horrible crime, a rape that apparently happened on the northeast side of Indy, and a lady defending herself, and a lot of us are cheering her on in that regard, but using that as an opportunity for a little bit of education on Indiana self-defense law. That's what we're talking about tonight for right now anyway. Give us a call, join the discussion, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
It's another week of this.
There's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement.
And another day for this.
Water rose 28 foot in 45 minutes.
Plus, another possibility of this.
Monitor the weather condition, the National Weather Service.
That's why another update is just minutes away.
Start saying we're not taking this anymore.
Just another day.
Not with all this happening.
Every day.
Happening now.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
You know exactly why you need to remodel that kitchen of yours. The space, it's outdated. You can't move around like you used to. It doesn't work like it needs to. You want to entertain and you want to improve your quality of life. This can happen, just not with the kitchen you have. You need to call Booher Remodeling. BOOHER. BooherRemodeling.com. They can take that old kitchen that's deteriorating and broken down and turn it into something that works for you and your family. Their 5-step design process from start to finish, the consultation, the preliminary design, the design development, getting all the documents together, and then getting it done. The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in central Indiana. Booher Remodeling will guide you through the entire process, starting with the free initial consultation, and they stand behind their work with a 2-year workmanship guarantee. Create that new kitchen. Design experts can use an existing layout or begin completely from scratch. Talk to Booher Remodeling today. BOOHER. BooherRemodeling.com. That's BooherRemodeling.com.
Hi, I'm Dustin, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. I know finding a dream engagement ring can be overwhelming, but don't worry, we got you. As director of diamond sourcing, it's my job to make sure every single diamond at Shane Company is truly the best of the best. Our team travels the world to see diamonds up close, in person. We handpick each one for its unique fire, brilliance, and scintillation. Diamond buying is an art. Of course, we look at cut, color, clarity, and carat, known as the 4 C's, but that's not all. We also look at how each diamond looks on a hand, where it will be worn, how it makes you feel, and if it's worthy of a Shane Company customer. That type of expertise only comes from working for a company that's been a family business since 1929. We also think about your budget. We only pick the best in each grade in all shapes and sizes. Your diamond is guaranteed to be the most beautiful because a friend wants you to pick from only the best. Drop by your store or shaneco.com and see for yourself. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Douglas Mini Splits dealer.
Fox News, I'm Daria Albinger. The military blasts another alleged drug smuggling vessel out of the water.
The president not sharing specific details about the exact location, but posting the lethal kinetic strike took place in the U.S. Southern Command's area of responsibility, a region that encompasses South and Central America and the Caribbean.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. The action is part of an ongoing aggressive military campaign against alleged drug smugglers. President Trump tells reporters his goals for next week's UN Assembly in New York.
World peace. Nobody's done a better job than I've done on world peace. Nobody's settled so many wars as I have.
On Friday, the Senate confirmed the president's last cabinet pick. United Nations Ambassador Mike Waltz. Only 3 Democrats crossed party lines to vote in favor of him. America is listening to Fox News.
20 ribeyes for $35. That's 20 ribeyes for $35 at 2 locations in Indianapolis going on now. 20 ribeyes for only $35 at the corner of South Emerson and Thompson Road. Just look for the big truck. Also in the Hardee's parking lot at the corner of Brookville Road and South Arlington Avenue. Also on the big truck is cases of T-bones, fillets, New York strips, burgers, and a whole lot more. Big truck sale. Marinated chicken breasts too. Don't wait. Big steak sale at 2 different locations at the corner of South Emerson and Thompson Road. Also in the Hardee's parking lot at the corner of Brookville Road and South Arlington Avenue. 20 ribeyes for just $35. Don't wait. Everything must go. Big truck sale. That's 20 ribeyes for $35 at the corner of South Emerson and Thompson Road. Also in the Hardee's parking lot at the corner of Brookville Road and South Arlington Avenue. Get there before the truck is gone.
At Duke Energy, we're making Indiana's energy grid stronger and more resilient, ready for storms and growing energy demands. We're adding more power to the Indiana grid. We're using new innovations and smart technology to restore outages faster. And we're doing it all in cost-efficient ways to keep bills as low as possible while we serve you with reliable energy. Duke Energy, building a smarter energy future. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I'll tell you what, we're talking self-defense, but let's go to the phone lines. Hugh's been on hold for a while. Hugh, welcome to The Gun Guy Show.
How are you?
Good, sir. You doing all right?
I'm doing great.
Good. What you got for us?
On my way to I'm a rideshare guy, and I'm on my way to Bloomington to work the Illinois game.
Oh, awesome! I'll tell you what, I'm excited.
I hope we don't get cut off.
I understand. We'll do our best. What you got for us?
Okay, I'll try to be real brief. I've been retired for about 10 years, and being a rideshare driver, I see a lot of stuff. I picked up some kids and they couldn't have been no more than 15 years old at that gun shop up there at about 55th in Tacoma. I think you know the one I'm talking about.
Sure, I'm there all the time.
And I took them to some apartments at 17th and Park, right next to the Kroger that should have been torn down and rebuilt 40 years ago. You know which one I'm talking about there, too, right?
I think so.
The very next morning, somebody got shot and killed in that parking lot. About a week later, there was a carjacking at gunpoint at 14th and Alabama. These kids live in this neighborhood, and I've done this more than once, more than different groups. One time I picked some kids up and dropped them off, took them up to 36th and Post, turn right, turn left, dropped them off right there. The very next night I had taken a woman home, and they had that whole street blocked off and lit up because somebody shot at a cop. Now, I can't say that these were the kids that did that stuff, but, you know, just the body.
Well, yeah, Hugh, and I guess I'm not sure where you're going with this. Are you concerned that they were able to buy guns illegally?
It's my concern that that it's easy for these kids to get guns.
Okay, all right. Well, let me tell you, and listen, to be an involved citizen, to be concerned about what's going on, to be paying attention around you, those are all good things. But you know what? You estimated these kids were 15 or so, and let me tell you, I do business there. I teach classes there. I don't have any kind of ownership interest or anything other than I teach classes there. But you're talking about Indy Arms, and let me tell you, if there's a gun store in Marion County or Indianapolis that I'm 100% confident that follows the rules, and then some on selling guns, it's Indy Arms. I have no concern. I know their sales manager. He's a great guy, an ultimate professional. The guys that work there. And 15-year-olds, I'll tell you right now, did not walk into Indy Arms, buy a gun. Didn't happen. They follow the law. They take their responsibility very seriously. I've been in there, just shopping myself, when they were just concerned because one person, say two people come in there together, and one of them's kind of looking at the different guns and kind of saying, I kind of like this one, kind of like that one, and then the other one says, I want to buy this gun right here. I want to buy this Glock 19, this one right here. I've watched them do it. Say, you know what? I have a little concern that you're not the actual purchaser. I'm not accusing you of trying to do a straw purchase, but I'm uncomfortable making this sale. I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to do business with you today. Could they have made that sale? Could it have been legal? Absolutely. But they go above and beyond. So listen, again, I applaud you for being observant and paying attention to your surroundings. And if you have concerns about, these kids perhaps being involved, then by all means call authorities, and all that's good and positive, and I applaud that element of it. But you say it's easy for these kids to get guns. 15-year-olds or anything close to that didn't, or even if they're handguns, you got to be 21. So they are far removed from the ability to legally buy a gun, and they didn't walk into Indy Arms, or I think, frankly, any other FFL that is registered, licensed gun dealer in Indianapolis and buy a gun. I mean, those people are not going to stay in business, and they're potentially going to go to jail themselves for illegally selling guns. So I hear, gun control people say that all the time. Well, it's just too easy for people to get guns. Well, it may be too easy to get guns illegally, that is, from fellow criminals on the street or fellow gang members. But not walking into gun stores and buying them from a FFL, a federal firearms licensee, and a particular one I know for a fact that take their legal responsibility so seriously, like the good folks there at Indy Arms. So again, I teach classes there. I know these folks. They're friends of mine. I've had a business relationship, so take that all for what it's worth, but I say it emphatically and without reservation. We're a little past the 3/4 hour. Let's take a break. I'll come back. I'll talk again about self-defense. We've all got another couple of people on hold, so we'll go to the phone lines as well. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Soybean farmers, they're entering harvest season and they're going to be struggling because the largest buyer of soybeans is who?
China. As someone who's spent their entire adult life poking various sized bears, you just got to accept, sadly, I think our farmers are paying for what Donald Trump is doing in the trade wars.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for the law offices of Guy Relford. I got received a couple of emails just today, folks interested in potentially restoring their gun rights after felony convictions that happened a long time ago. And listen, for a lot of folks, not everybody, and not for every conviction, but for an awful lot of folks, we can restore your gun rights under Indiana law. And we'd love to talk to you about that if you're interested, whether it's a felony conviction, even potentially a distant crime of domestic violence. Those are all things where potentially we can get your rights restored. If you're curious, contact us through the website. Just go to relfordlaw.com, relfordlaw.com. My email is just guy@relfordlaw.com. Give me an email. We'll discuss your particular circumstances and whether we can assist you. That's relfordlaw.com.
Look through your children's eyes, and you will discover the true magic of a forest. Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org.
Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
Everybody knows Hubler's got the best warranty around. 10 years, 200,000 miles. But did you know? Now you can get that same limited powertrain warranty on new Toyotas. Introducing the all-new Hubler Toyota. Get grand opening savings all month long. And right now, save on new Toyota trucks with low APR financing, including 2025 Tacomas with 3.99% or Tundras, just 1.75 APR for 72 months.
Hubler's got you covered.
At the all-new Hubler Toyota on US 31 South in Indianapolis. Visit HublerToyota.com. Grand opening savings and the best warranty around. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Cover me!
Select models, approved credit, plus tax tag title license, 249 dealer doc. Tacoma monthly payment for 60 months, 1841 and Tundra 1464 per thousand financed. Expires 9/30.
What is 988? It's a way forward. It's a listening ear. It's whatever help you need, when you need it. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline offers trained crisis specialists ready to talk to you 24/7. If you or someone you love is experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis in their life, call or text 988. Want more information? Visit 988indiana.org.
Welcome to Tire Discounters. Oh, hiya, Phantom.
Mike, I think I saw a fox on my way in.
Oh, that was the Carfax Carfox. He was congratulating us on our Carfax Top-Rated Service Center Award.
I have always rated Tire Discounters at the very top.
Oh, thanks. So does Carfax. And not just for tires, but for all our services, too.
Alignment, brakes, shocks and struts, and more.
Yes, sir.
But, Mike, do you think people believe Carfax over me?
Well, you are the Phantom tire buyer.
Exactly.
Fall's in the air at Sundown Gardens in Westfield and Miss M's Home and Garden in Bargersville. Locally grown mums and pumpkins are everywhere, along with fall annuals and a wide selection of fall decor. Stop in this week to get your home beautified and in season for the cool days.
The National Weather Service in Indianapolis has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for East Central Morgan County, Western Johnson County, until 6:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 5:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm was located near Franklin, or 17 miles south of Indianapolis, moving north at 20 miles per hour. Expected hazards include 60 miles per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. This is a radar-indicated threat. The following impacts are expected. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include Greenwood, Franklin, New Whiteland, Bargersville, and Trafalgar. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Repeating, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued until 6:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the following counties in Indiana: Johnson and Morgan.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIPC.
And welcome back. We've got a bit of a short segment here. Did anyway, and then we got the severe storm warning. Hey, if you're in the affected area, keep an eye on your surroundings. Don't hesitate to get yourself to a place of safety if conditions warrant. So, thanks to the National Weather Service, I can talk, for issuing that warning. I'll tell you what, we don't have a lot of time, but let's go to the phone lines. And Brian's been on hold for a while. Brian, welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Hey, Counselor. I would just had a comment about rape, and I used to be an assistant in rape classes back in the day, and you only have a brief moment to decide if you're a victim or a survivor.
Yeah.
And my question was, how do you buy a gun directly from a manufacturer?
Oh, well, every manufacturer is going to have its own rules. Typically, Brian, you need to be an FFL. That is, have your federal firearms license. And even then, depending on the manufacturer, may be difficult, but because a lot of them only sell through distributors, even to FFLs, that is federal firearms licensees. But I don't want to, generalize across all manufacturers because they could each have their own rules. A lot of times you can order, some manufacturers anyway, you can order from their website and they just will ship it to an FFL near you. That's where you go to pick it up and fill out the 4473 and get your background check done. I'll tell you what, we've only got about a minute, so I'm not going to go back to the phone lines. You folks that are on hold, please have patience and stick around with us during the break at the top of the hour. We'll go back to the phone lines here when we come back after the break at the top of the hour. But I want to talk about self-defense. Remember I was saying that the word necessary, that is, you must reasonably believe that it's necessary to prevent serious bodily injury to you or a third person, or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony before you can use deadly force under the general self-defense statute. You have to believe that it's necessary to use deadly force to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into or attack on your dwelling. Now, again, the Castle Doctrine in Indiana goes a little more broadly than that, talks about curtilage, which always is an interesting discussion, and occupied motor vehicle, which is, I think, a very positive part of Indiana's law. But the word necessary is there. The word necessary is actually why we have a stand your ground provision in the Indiana self-defense statute. And I'll explain that after the break at the top of the hour. And the general explanation, which I'll get into more specifically, is if you can run away first, is it ever necessary to use force in self-defense? Well, that's what the Castle Doctrine, that's what the stand your ground provision of the law addresses. But right now we're taking a break at the top of the hour. We'll be back soon. This is Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
It's the start of our favorite season here in Indy, football season. That's right, with all the hype and action this season brings, we know things can get loud and messy real quick. Before you invite your friends and family over to watch the games, you better call my cleaning heroes at Zerorez to clean up all those fumble moments in your home. And lucky for you, you can score big this month with great savings. Hi, this is Denny Smith, and you can get 3 rooms Zeroresified starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning too. The Zerorez service is easy to line up, and you can go online at ZerorezIndy.com to do the scheduling at your convenience. And don't forget the ZR water difference. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, leaving things really clean. Now mention WIBC and you'll get 3 rooms cleaned by the Zerorez Pro starting at just $129. $129! Plus $75 off duct cleaning too. 317-388-5141. Online at ZerorezIndy.com.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay, deep breath.
High five.
You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years of gig speed internet and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked.
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm? Totally natural.
Sweet! Thank you! Thank you! High five, everybody! High five!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five!
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25 for new customers with qualifying bundle. Current customers may be eligible depending on services and area. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Fostech is American-made firearms made right here in Indiana. American craftsmanship meets cutting-edge innovation. Their lightweight AR-15s are incredible, and they don't sacrifice dependability or durability. Advanced machining capabilities create incredible products, and they are all designed, machined, assembled, and tested right here in Indiana. Fostech, owned by a family that has served and loved their country. Find a dealer near you or visit Fostech.com. That's F-O-S-T-E-C-H, Fostech.com. Use promo code WIBC for 10% off your order.
Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning. Owner Jim Scott is based in Clinton County, but they're now serving a larger area.
Boone County and Hamilton County, there are just not enough HVAC contractors in those areas to handle the demand. So we can offer a value for them because of our 5-star rating, family-owned, quality.
On the north side, give Jim's a call at 765-601-1461. Jim's is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Broadcasting from the Technology Recycler Studios, this is Indy's Mobile News, 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
Fox News authorities in Glendale, Arizona say a man impersonating a law enforcement officer was arrested at State Farm Stadium, where tomorrow's memorial for Charlie Kirk will be held.
We had a bit of a security scare. The Secret Service confirms they arrested a man who showed up on site here pretending to be law enforcement while armed with a gun and a knife, and he was not part of the security plans. We just got an update from the Arizona Department of Public Safety a short time ago confirming they are now charging that man with a felony. His name is Joshua Runkles. They say he is not law enforcement, and he has now been charged with felony impersonation of law enforcement, as well as a misdemeanor carrying a weapon into a prohibited space. They say their investigation continues. They're looking into his background to figure out what his intentions were.
That's Fox's Bill Mallusion. Attorneys for the accused killer in a high-profile murder case want a federal judge to eliminate the death penalty.
Luigi Mangione is charged with killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a New York City sidewalk last December. His attorneys filed a motion with the federal courts Saturday, arguing the government prejudiced the case by turning his arrest into what they called a Marvel movie spectacle, including a choreographed perp walk, and with their pretrial comments that if convicted, Mangione should be executed. Federal prosecutors have until the end of next month to respond. Mangione also faces state murder charges, but New York does not have the death penalty. He has pled not guilty to the murder. Jack Callahan, Fox News.
Officials say at least 14 people were killed overnight in Gaza City as Israel ramps up its offenses and urges Palestinians to leave. Hours later, demonstrators in Tel Aviv unfurled a huge banner imploring President Trump to help end the war. It said, "Save us," in big letters. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Janice Dean, Fox News senior meteorologist and host of the Janice Dean podcast. Join me every Sunday as I focus on stories of hope and people who are truly rays of sunshine in their community and across the world. Be sure to subscribe to the Janice Dean podcast at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to spread the sunshine.
America's listening to Fox News. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
This is Jason Chaffetz from the Jason in the House podcast. Join me every Monday to dive deeper into the latest political headlines and chat with remarkable guests to hear their take on American life, politics, and entertainment. And don't forget, there's always somebody doing something stupid somewhere.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcast.com
or wherever you download podcasts.
Must listen to podcasts from Fox News Audio.
There were more protests last night outside an ICE facility in Chicago.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Releasing a video from the incident. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending this hour. That's from body cam footage of an IMPD officer in a gunfight and chase with 76-year-old Walter McNary. IMPD says McNary shot and killed his wife on July 24th, then led officers on a chase down multiple streets and neighborhoods. McNary was killed by return fire from officers after he hit a few of their vehicles with gunshots. The footage was put out by IMPD on Friday. 21-year-old Isaiah Peak Jr. of Indianapolis is now facing murder and attempted murder charges for a fatal shooting on September 16th at a Greenwood apartment complex. Police say Peak got into an argument with the mother of his child, who called on her brother for help after saying Peak threatened to shoot her. When the brother arrived to the apartment, Peak got out a gun, fired off one shot that missed the man, but instead hit 22-year-old Badan Maburu, who lived at the complex and was standing nearby. Not at all part of the dispute. He was shot in the head and later died. Peak is being held at the Johnson County Jail without bond pending trial. And an arrest warrant is out for a man police say was involved in a crash recently on Interstate 465 after going as fast as 114 miles per hour. Sean Bivens faces charges including criminal recklessness, reckless driving, and leaving the scene of an accident. A driver and passenger of another car were injured in that crash that witnesses say was caused by Bivens. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Now the forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight, partly cloudy. That isolated chance continues. Low temperatures in the mid-60s. For Sunday, isolated chance in the morning, becoming scattered in the afternoon and evening hours. High temperatures in the lower 80s. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
Everybody knows Hubler's got the best warranty around. 10 years, 200,000 miles. But did you know? Now you can get that same limited powertrain warranty on new Toyotas. Introducing the all-new Hubler Toyota. Get grand opening savings all month long. And right now, save on new Toyota trucks with low APR financing, including 2025 Tacomas with 3.99% or Tundras, just 1.75 APR for 72 months.
Hubler's got you covered.
At the all-new Hubler Toyota on US 31 South in Indianapolis. Visit HublerToyota.com. Grand opening savings and the best warranty around. 10 years, 200,000 miles.
Cover me!
Select models, approved credit, plus tax tag, title license, 249 dealer doc. Tacoma monthly payment for 60 months, 1841, and Tundra 1464 per thousand financed. Expires 9/30.
Join us every Friday right around 5:50 for Beer Sample Friday.
Brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, home of free delivery within 75 miles of their store.
The path to recovery that works for you. CDC.gov/stop-overdose.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back to hour number 2 of the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Talking about the self-defense law and why the word necessary actually is the reason why we have stand your ground provisions in a lot of the different states, self-defense laws across the country. What am I talking about? And if you're just joining us, let me recap here just a bit. Indiana self-defense statute talks about different scenarios when you're justified in using force in self-defense or defense of a third person. And the two most often cited ones are what I call the general self-defense provision that says, and this is what applies to you no matter where you are. Could be at home, you could be out on the street, wherever you are within the state of Indiana, this applies. And it says you can use reasonable force, including deadly force, if you reasonably believe that force is necessary to prevent serious bodily injury to you or a third person or the commission of a forcible felony. That reasonably believe that it is necessary being an important word. And then the Castle Doctrine. You can use reasonable force, including deadly force, if you reasonably believe that force is necessary, important word, for you to prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into or attack on your dwelling. That's why we call it Castle Doctrine. You're defending your castle, your home, your dwelling, curtilage, or occupied motor vehicle. And I've spent big chunks of shows before talking about curtilage. I won't go into detail on that. Essentially, it's an area that may not be within the walls of your home, but where you still have an expectation of privacy and where normal domestic activities occur. And people seem to think that's their whole yard, their whole property. No. It would be like your screened-in porch, where you have an expectation of privacy, where normal domestic activities occur. In other words, you're doing the same thing there that you do in your home. Beyond that, I'm not confident. When there's not a single case in Indiana in a self-defense context that talks about what curtilage is. So to me, it's so poorly defined and so vague. I'm not relying on that in order to use force to defend my home. I'm going to have to rely on the general self-defense statute and make sure I have that reasonable belief. I'm preventing serious bodily injury to me or someone else, or the commission of a forcible felony. And then it goes on to say your occupied motor vehicle. Has to be your vehicle that's occupied by you or another innocent person. You can prevent or terminate an unlawful entry of or attack on your occupied motor vehicle. That's the Castle Doctrine. But the word necessary is in both those provisions. By the way, it's in the other two provisions. One deals with use of force against what's called a public servant in the statute. It actually deals with use of force against police officers who are acting unlawfully against you. And then the fourth one is use of force, including deadly force, to prevent the hijacking of an airplane. Those are the four provisions of the Indiana Self-Defense Statute, and they all have that word necessary in them. You have to believe it's necessary. And then it goes on to define the standards that you must meet in order to be justified. Well, what some courts did historically is they came out and they looked at the word necessary and said, hold on, you can never have this reasonable belief that the use of deadly force is necessary if you have an opportunity to run away first. And so some courts, not in Indiana, but across the country, some courts started imposing an obligation to flee, to retreat, to run away, if you have the opportunity to do so. And in some states, the law still operates that way. They're not, quote-unquote, stand-your-ground states. If you have an opportunity to run away, you have to run away. Believe it or not, in some states, even in your home, under their so-called Castle Doctrine, if you have an opportunity to run out the back door when someone breaks in your home, you have to do that. How ridiculous is that? And leave the bad guy in your house? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. But that's the way some states function. Not any red states, as you might guess. So to address that, what some courts were doing by imposing an obligation to retreat, to run away, before you have the ability to defend yourself or others, a lot of states built into their self-defense law what we call a stand your ground provision. In an Indiana statute, all that is, it's just one line that just says, with no obligation to retreat. And that alone is what makes it a stand your ground law. In other words, the statute says you can use reasonable force, including deadly force, if you reasonably believe that force is necessary to prevent serious bodily injury, and everything I've now repeated several times. And then it says right in the statute, with no duty to retreat. And just that little provision, just those very few words, is what makes it a stand your ground law. Now, that gets mischaracterized all the time, and people don't understand how that works. And people tend to use stand your ground to refer to the whole self-defense statute. I mean, how many times have you seen the media do that? I have members of the media call me all the time. Guy, I want to talk to you about how this works under Indiana's stand your ground law. And it won't have anything to do with stand your ground or that particular provision. It doesn't apply. Nobody's saying somebody needed to run away first, which is the only application of stand your ground. It takes away a court saying that you couldn't have believed force was necessary because you could have run away. It negates that argument on behalf of the prosecution or the state when they're considering whether to prosecute you for a crime, or they're prosecuting you for a crime. They can't say you had the opportunity to run away, so you should have done that, because the statute says with no opportunity to retreat. You still have to meet the standard. So in other words, if a jury would conclude that there's no way under the circumstances you had any reasonable belief that deadly force was necessary under those circumstances, totally separate and apart from any duty to run away, if you just didn't have that requisite belief, stand your ground does nothing for you. It just takes away one argument, which is, oh, you could have run away, therefore you didn't have the ability to defend yourself. But people all the time, and again, people call me, well, under the stand your ground law, and I'll be going, you mean the self-defense law? Well, no, in Indiana we call it the stand your ground law. Well, no, we have a stand your ground provision within our self-defense law. That's only how that works. Well, under our Castle Doctrine law, well, the Castle Doctrine is one of 4 sections under our self-defense statute. Talks about the use of force in self-defense or defense of others, or in that case, defense of your home, under different scenarios. But that's how that works. But it all revolves around the idea we need to take away this argument that you could have run away first, therefore you couldn't have had a reasonable belief that force was necessary, or that deadly force was necessary. That's how stand your ground works. And the whole statute's not a stand your ground statute. Now, all 4 provisions, whether it's the general self-defense statute out that applies to you no matter where you are, including out in public, or the Castle Doctrine that applies to you in your home or curtilage or occupied motor vehicle, or there's one provision now dealing with the use of force against police officers who are acting unlawfully, or preventing the hijacking of an airplane. Those are the 4 different sections, subsections of the Indiana Self-Defense Statute. They all have a stand your ground provision in them, meaning in none of those circumstances where you're otherwise justified, you have to be otherwise justified. That's what everybody needs to understand, because the media all the time portrays stand your ground laws as, well, these just justify the use of force anytime you want. Anywhere you are, no matter what's going on, you can say, well, I'm going to stand my ground and shoot anybody I want or hurt anybody I want. And all I have to do is say, stand your ground, and it's some magic talisman that justifies what you did. That's not how it works. That's not remotely how it works. But that's how that works in terms of negating the argument that you could have run away. That's really how it works. We're going to change topics when we come back and go to the phone lines as we kind of move on from self-defense. You want to give us a call, join the discussion. We always love going to the phone lines. It's 317-239-9393, 317-239-9393. Give us a call and join the discussion. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Weatherman upset that Trump cutting some funding to the National Weather Service. The war on science. Yeah, tell me more about that science that told me I had to wear a mask made in China that didn't protect me from anything. Tell me about the science of 6 feet apart. Tell me about the science of being in a restaurant. You can sit down and eat with no mask, but you got to stand up and wear a mask. But if you go to Cannes, you got to stand back up and put it on again.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class is coming up October 18th. It's a little less than a month away. It's going to be in Avon at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range. We'd love for you to come join us there in Avon. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. This is 5 hours of the legal education on the use of force, on the carrying of a gun, on the use of a gun, how to avoid commonly prosecuted crimes like intimidation with a deadly weapon, pointing a firearm, criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. Those are all felonies. You can lose your gun rights forever or a damn long time. We talk about how to avoid those, where you can and can't carry your gun. You know, there are a lot of places where it's absolutely illegal. Some places it's a felony to carry your gun, and there's no sign to tell you it's illegal to carry your gun there. You just have to know. That's what we cover and a whole heck of a lot more in 5 hours. Again, we'd love to see you there. You can go to sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Ranking Indy number 2 among 2025's hottest markets. Home values have risen and are holding strong. Now is a great time to sell. Hire the team with proven systems to max your equity. I'm talking about real estate expert Mark Dietl. Don't have to take my word for it. Dan and Casey in Indianapolis said it was time to downsize. They needed to sell their old house quickly at full value. Mark Dietl and his team made it happen. They got their asking price in just a few weeks without any repairs or even an appraisal.
Mark Dietl is the best in the business, and he has the guarantee that backs it up. He guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price or deadline, or he will buy it. You pick the move date, no long-term contracts. That's what separates Mark Dietl. 755-4232 or go to markdietl.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietl.com. Tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Retirement isn't just about reaching the finish line, it's about knowing how to play the next movement. Without a plan, your savings can feel like noise instead of music. I'm Jason Hutchins with Guardian Wells Financial. I've seen too many families head into retirement without the guidance they need. That's why I wrote Orchestrate Your Retirement, a guide to composing a financially tuned plan. I'd like to mail you a copy at no cost. Call 317-660-0929. That's 660-0929. Inside this book, you'll find real-world strategies on turning savings into income, making smarter Social Security decisions, and reducing a bite of taxes in retirement. Call 317-660-0929. That's 660-0929 for your book today. Don't wait. Supplies are limited, and when they're gone, they are gone. Orchestrate your retirement. Discover the rhythm of a confident future.
Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. Guardian Wealth Financial is not affiliated with Creative One Wealth or with any government agency. Licensed insurance professionals.
Call 317-660-0929.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Attention, Indiana homeowners. Are you tired of avoiding your wet basement? Hi, I'm Mike Smith with Swingco Crawl Space and Basement Repair, your real, local, Indiana family-owned experts. Imagine all the possibilities of a guaranteed dry basement, a cozy new family room, a home gym, or even a new office. And with no interest, no payment financing, you don't have to break the bank to do it. Make the most of your basement today. Call Swingco 317-407-1868 or swingcollc.com.
Heat and cool with nearly geothermal efficiency in places you can't fit ductwork with Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splits.
Just go to AbsoluteComfort.org. That's AbsoluteComfort.org.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIPC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I'll tell you what, we're switching topics. So let's go to the phone lines. And let's see here. We've had David on hold for quite a while. David, welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Hey, Guy, I know you're good today, but I enjoy your show almost every week.
Thank you so much.
Anyhow, a couple of years ago, I had a handgun that was stolen. And the first of this year, 2025, I received notification from the gun recovery department that my gun had been recovered.
Is this in Marion County, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, that's unfortunate, but okay, go ahead.
Yes. And so and they told me what I need to do, that I need to bring out a copy of the original receipt, my ID, and I did, and I went down, they took all the information, they said, in 6 months, or 6 weeks, we'll tell you to come and get it. Well, in 6 weeks, I got another email that said, hey, the detective doesn't want to release it for some reason. You need to contact the detective. Nobody can tell me who the detective is because the gun was stolen in Hancock County.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm the victim here.
No, I get it. And listen, David, the issue with Marion County has been ongoing for a long time. I did a whole sort of an expose on this with Richard Essex at Fox 59, and we talked a lot about this, and in particular how I think Marion County is really violating people's rights. But the first thing to know is if they did. Well, do you know? Did they indicate to you they caught the guy who stole your gun and he's being prosecuted?
No, they did not indicate that.
Okay. Well, The way that works is, and the reason for them not releasing it, it's great news that that you have a copy of your receipt, because an awful lot of people don't. I mean, people buy guns from private individuals. People are, they're willed guns. In other words, they inherit guns. There's no receipt, and people trade guns. I mean, do I have a written receipt for every gun I own? Not even close. Probably not half. I mean, some guns I've built. What, you want me to bring you the receipts from all the parts, the lower receiver, and it's a little ridiculous. And then they put every gun through a forensic analysis. In other words, they test fire it, they run the projectile and the shell casing, if it's a semi-automatic, or even a revolver for that matter, looking at firing pin markings and whatnot, and they run everything through forensics before they'll even put it in queue to release it. But one of the things that has to happen is the detective does need to release it, and there's only part of this that might be reasonable, and that is that if somebody's being prosecuted, let's just say they caught somebody that stole your gun, they caught the person, that person's being prosecuted, well, that evidence then is, or that gun rather, is evidence in that case, and eventually they're going to put that detective on the stand in a criminal case. If the guy doesn't plead out and the case would go to trial, they're going to put the evidence on the detective rather on the stand and say, and did you recover a gun? Yes, I did. And let me hand you State's Exhibit A. Is this the gun? Yes, that's the gun. And did you run a search for that? Yes. And did you determine based on the serial number and the trace you ran on that gun that it was stolen? Yes, I did. And where was it stolen from? Da-da-da-da-da. And then what's all the evidence that indicates this guy's guilty? And the detective explains all that. But the gun is a central piece of evidence in that case. And they need the gun to go to trial. Or let's say the guy's already been tried and convicted, but now he's appealing his conviction. Well, they have to preserve all the evidence. So the fact that the detective doesn't want to release it, could he just be being a jerk? Theoretically. Or it could be an ongoing case. They haven't closed the case yet, and that's why the detective doesn't want to release the gun, because it's evidence in an ongoing case. The guy pleads guilty, case is over. All right, now you've done everything else you've needed to do to go be able to pick up your gun. That's the good news. Bad news is the detective does need to release it, and I completely understand why, if there's an ongoing prosecution, they're not going to release the number one most important piece of evidence in that case. Let's go back to the phone lines, and Mike has a question. Mike, welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Hey, Guy, how are you doing tonight?
Good, man. Are you doing all right?
Very good. Quick question. So I am going to Alaska next year hunting,
cool.
And if I drive or fly through Illinois, legally, if I have a suppressor that I have for my rifle, my hunting rifle, bolt action, 300 Win Mag. It's not a weapon of war or anything like that. It's to my understanding that federally I am covered, that I am not breaking the law, but in Illinois I'm committing a felony. What am I supposed to do if I want to drive or fly through Illinois? Because I heard a couple of cases on the east coast of the United States, people who had, magazines that were over, 10 rounds or suppressor, they got prosecuted. So what legally am I supposed to do?
Well, it's a great question. And listen, the bad news is that suppressors are illegal in Illinois. So as far as your can goes, and hey, I'd love to know what your setup is. I mean, I've got a 300 Win Mag that I run a 7.62 suppressor on. That's my favorite setup. Beautiful rifle made for me by Joe Bell. But at any rate, suppressors are illegal in Illinois. Now, theoretically, if you're driving through, and firearms are considered, suppressors are considered firearms under federal law. And there's something called the Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986 that has a safe harbor provision in it that says a person, if they're traveling from a place where possession of a firearm is legal to a place where that possession is legal. They can pass through any other state or political subdivision, meaning local government, and that's legal notwithstanding the laws of that state or political subdivision. So theoretically, now there are requirements. If it's a gun, it has to be unloaded. It has to be in a separate compartment from the passenger compartment, meaning in the trunk. If there is no separate compartment, meaning trunk, then it has to be in a locked container separate from any ammunition. Theoretically, you could comply with all that and be protected under the Federal Firearms Owners Protection Act of 1986. Do I think every local cop or state cop in Illinois understands FOPA, the federal statute? Absolutely not. Do I think if they catch you with a suppressor in Illinois, they would take you to jail? Yes. I believe that. Now, would someone figure it out, whether in law enforcement or the local prosecutor or your defense attorney? Hopefully, yes. And you don't get convicted of any crime relying on the protections of the safe harbor provision within the Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986. But I don't trust that to save my life. If I were taking my rifle with my suppressor to Alaska to go hunting, and that sounds awesome. I'm not even a big hunter, and that just sounds like an awesome trip. So congratulations on scheduling that. I would find an FFL in Alaska that's close to where you're going to hunt or where you're going to fly through perhaps, and I would ship it to that FFL, have them hold it for me. I'd pick it up there, and then after I'm through with my hunt and I'm getting ready to fly home, I would ship it back and not have to worry about the knuckleheads in Illinois and their ridiculous laws, because, again, suppressors outside law enforcement and military, it's just illegal to even possess a suppressor in Illinois. It's like, having a kilo of cocaine, as ridiculous as that is. I mean, it's an accessory that makes you a better neighbor, protects your hearing. It's the dumbest thing ever. But that's Illinois. That's where it stands. Now, hopefully that gets overturned along with a lot of other Illinois gun laws, whether in the Supreme Court or otherwise, but that's where we are. So I would not, notwithstanding FOPA, I would not take my suppressor through Illinois. I just simply would not. We're at the bottom of the hour. We're taking a break. Our buddy Kelly has called in, so we'll go back to the phone lines when we go to Kelly and Avon here after the bottom of the hour. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show. Give us a call. Join the discussion, 317-239-9393, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
It's another week of this.
There's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement.
And another day for this.
Water rose 28 foot in 45 minutes.
Plus, another possibility of this.
Monitor the weather condition, the National Weather Service.
That's why another update is just minutes away.
Start saying we're not taking this anymore.
Just another day. Not with all this happening every day.
Happening now.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
At Andy Moore Ford, you're going to get more. Much, much more. With the Get More Guarantee, you always get more savings, more selection, and more for your trade. Buy your vehicle 100% online. Just go to Andy Moore, M-O-H-R, AndyMooreFord.com, and Andy Moore will deliver that car right to your door. Drive off in a new Ford F-150 XL truck for under $40,000 with over 100 vehicles to choose from. And if you rely on commercial trucks for your business, you have to check out Andy Moore Ford. The whole commercial center they've built to make sure your Ford truck or van fits your business needs is absolutely incredible. From medium to heavy-duty F-Series trucks. And they've got the biggest selection of Super Duty trucks in the state. Over 175 Super Duty trucks on the ground and ready to work for you. Talk to Andy Moore Ford, 2713 East Main Street in Plainfield, or online at Andy Moore Ford, M-O-H-R. I love Andy. AndyMooreFord.com.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
Hi, this is Malia with Family Heating and Air, and as a mom myself, I know it's really important to keep the kiddos healthy. Air quality, humidity, those are super big issues on my concern list. If you share any of these concerns, give Family a call, 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Oh,
no. Stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
This hour powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Ductless Mini Splits dealer.
Fox News, I'm Carmen Roberts. Arizona officials announced charges for the armed man apprehended at the venue for tomorrow's Charlie Cook Memorial.
The Secret Service says the man was acting suspicious. He was taken into custody yesterday after found inside of the stadium.
Fox's Matt Finn. Today, prosecutors charged Joshua Runkles with impersonating a law enforcement officer and other charges. President Trump posting on Truth Social today that if the Taliban in Afghanistan does not give back Bagram Air Base to the U.S., bad things are going to happen.
The president did not offer details about whether it will be a negotiated takeover or if he'll send combat troops back in. But he says its position between Russia and China makes the base an important strategic asset.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. America's listening to Fox News.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Everyone knows that PA Jewelers in Brownsburg is the place to get one-of-a-kind jewelry pieces. Diamonds, gold, gemstones, watches, everything. But PA Jewelers at the farmhouse is also the place to sell your jewelry, your watches, your coins, or bullion. PA Jewelers has the best prices and the best payouts. And they walk you through the process so you know what your pieces are worth and what you're getting. PA Jewelers at the farmhouse, 3750 South Green Street in Brownsburg, or online at pajewelers.jewelry. That's pajewelers.jewelry.
Tune in to the Absolute Retirement Planning Show.
When retirement comes about, we're now relying on what we have saved to meet those needs.
Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on 93 WIBC.
Great Lakes Honda, where you'll find great people and great cars, but no actual lakes. Visit the Great Lakes Honda showroom off State Road 37 today for your next great car.
Teachers shape the future. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. As I mentioned, let's go back to the phone lines, and our pal Kelly in Avon has called in. Kelly, welcome back to The Gun Guy Show. Always a pleasure.
Hey, it's good to be on, Guy. How are you?
I'm great, man. You'll be having a good weekend.
Oh, yeah, real good. But, yeah, I was wanting to talk about it. It was an NBC News article that I believe it was Ingo or KW posted it earlier today. And after reading through it, if I'm not speaking in complete sentences, it's because of the IQ points I lost after reading this article. It is the two individuals that wrote it, I think it surprised them. There are large caliber rifles, and there are a lot of them in this country. There is a sentence in this that reads, there are believed to be millions, it's speaking of the, of course, the Mauser 30-06 that was used to assassinate Charlie Kirk.
Sure.
There are believed to be millions of such weapons in homes across the country. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They also don't seem to realize Mauser certainly made military firearms. They also made a lot of civilian firearms, and and they use the word vintage when speaking about this, and there's a potential, this is actually from it, potential for would-be assassins to seek out powerful, accurate, and hard-to-trace firearms because, well, they've been around a long time. I know they traced that Mauser there in Utah to the murderer using fingerprints and DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have to know where Grandpa got his Sporter Mauser from.
Exactly.
And that's
and by the way, I wouldn't call a Sporter Mauser a vintage firearm by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I believe it had a synthetic stock on it.
Yes, it did have a more modern stock on it. Yeah, I prefer the wood ones myself. I'm kind of old school. But yeah, if it doesn't shoot black powder cartridges, I wouldn't call it vintage. That's pretty much how I look at it. And yeah, it's just it's kind of scary when you look at this and they're talking about, and not being able to trace it is always a thing, like with ghost guns, because, they're shootier if you can't trace them.
Yeah.
But, if you get it with the criminal, well, you just traced it about as far as you need to right there.
Well, exactly. And Kelly, I'm glad you called, because to me, this points to something that I've been saying for a lot of years, and the reaction from the left, particularly the calls for more gun control from the left, which of course were completely predictable. But all that points to something I've been saying for a long time, which is, the calls for gun control that we've been hearing for a long, long time. Things like, well, if we can just ban assault weapons, quote unquote, then we'll put an end to school shootings. Or and the implication is, we'll be done, we'll be happy, we'll be satisfied as gun control proponents, whether it's Moms Demand Action or the Brady Center, or any number of these, the Giffords Group, whatever it might be. Just give us these assault weapons, and we'll just save so many lives. It's a lie. It's always been a lie. And the NBC article that you're talking about, Kelly, is a perfect example, because they're looking at how scary and threatening and worrisome these bolt action hunting rifles are for a bunch of ridiculous made up reasons that some of which Kelly just mentioned. It just goes to show you that whatever they get in terms of gun control, whatever they accomplish, that's just the next check mark on their list. They're not done. They'll go to the next gun after that, and the next gun after that. And particularly when you consider that the vast majority of so-called gun crimes or so-called gun violence in this country, the vast majority is committed with handguns. So until they have a complete ban on all guns, handguns included, and if for crying out loud, now we're literally talking about Grandpa's hunting rifle. It just goes to show they'll never be happy until they eradicate guns completely. And of course, that would require repealing or incredibly dramatically modifying the Second Amendment, which I don't see happening in my lifetime, but I'm getting kind of old. But it just goes to show how they'll never be happy. Because when they're talking about weapons of war and the AR-15 and the AK-47 and the so-called assault weapons, which we all know is a made-up political term, when they talk about those things, they all say, well, we're okay with you having your rifle for hunting. But and then you see these ridiculous comments from gun control proponents, things like, well, an AR-15 is so powerful you could never use it hunting because it would destroy the game. The meat would be inedible if you went hunting with an AR-15. No, in most places you can't go hunting with an AR-15, or particularly the 5.56 or 2.23 round, because it's not lethal enough. It's not lethal enough to ensure an ethical kill as part of your hunt. It's not powerful enough. It's not lethal enough. But they'll say, well, your grandpa's hunting rifle, that's okay. That's what they've always said. And now they're saying, oh no, grandpa's hunting rifle, literally grandpa's hunting rifle, was used in a crime. Now we need to look at potentially banning those too. It just goes to show you that they'll never, ever, ever be happy. That it only ratchets in one direction for these people, and anything you give them That's just checking the next thing off their list. And they're not going away. They're never going away until they get every gun that's out there. Now, do I think they'll be successful in doing that? Absolutely not. Are the political tides turning in the proper direction, in the right direction on these issues right now? You bet. But make no mistake about what the agenda is. And the NBC article that Kelly just mentioned is Exhibit A in proving that. Because when you start talking about how scary the millions and millions of bolt action hunting rifles are out there, and the implication being we need to look at regulating these or banning them, that goes to show you that nothing's safe. If Grandpa's hunting rifle's not safe, there's nothing safe. Nothing that smacks a primer in a chamber is safe from these people when they start taking that kind of an approach to the gun control issue. Well, I'll tell you what, we're at the 3/4 hours. Time to take a break. Let's take a break here. We'll be back for the last section of the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Charlie Kirk had no control over your life. He didn't have to exist in anyone's orbit that didn't want to hear or see him.
Someone couldn't handle him on an intellectual level, so they resorted to violence. Had a choice to not engage with his platforms. They couldn't handle it. And my question is, what did it solve?
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for the law offices at Guy Relford. You know, one thing we do that we really enjoy doing is restore Second Amendment rights for people who are eligible. That doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, depending on what they have on their record. For an awful lot of folks, the expungement statute was significantly broadened in 2013, making expungement and the restoration of rights much more available to a lot of Hoosiers. And we'd love to talk to you about that if that potentially applies to you. You can contact us through the website. It's just relfordlaw.com. Our phone number is there. My email is there, which is just guy@relfordlaw. And we'd love to discuss whether we can potentially help you restore your Second Amendment rights. If that applies to you or a loved one or a family member or a buddy that you'd love to have as a shooting buddy again, have them contact us at relfordlaw.com.
90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. Be a responsible gun owner. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
Hey, it's Matt Baer. You've probably heard Dr. Nick Wilson on WIBC Weekends. But what you may not know is that I've been going to Restructured Chiropractic for years. They've helped me tremendously. If you're waking up with the same nagging neck or back pain every day, even after stretching, icing, or trying to push through, it's time for a better plan. Dr. Wilson is now offering you a chance to sit down with his doctors for a full spine and nervous system assessment. You'll get a complete consultation, exam, posture and nerve scans, any needed x-rays, a full status report, and most importantly, a personalized natural health plan for recovery. It's normally over $250, but right now you can get the whole package for just $88. Stop managing the pain, start fixing the real problem. Text RELIEF to 317-749-0677 to claim it. 317-749-0677. Check out more at BeRestructured.com.
Everyone's talking about Galaxy Concrete Coatings and their transformation, like business owner Brian.
Yeah, Galaxy was great. We have a business where a lot of the service techs are working out in the field, and they'll come in and they'll have even some mud or something on our shoes. So if we're having a meeting, I needed a flooring that could stand up to that, but still look good as an office setting.
Well, if you own a home or a business, Galaxy Concrete Coatings got you covered.
Galaxy was great to work around our schedule. They were able to come in on a Saturday, and the job was completed over the weekend, and we were back in business, so we didn't miss a step.
Lots of styles to choose from, 4 times stronger than epoxy, and it comes with a lifetime warranty.
It's very nice looking. It's very durable. Really makes the room stand out and shine.
Click on GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com now. That's Galaxy Concrete Coatings. And remember to like us on Facebook. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. We're out of this world.
Galaxy was quick to respond. They were quick to give us a solution and quick to get it completed as well. And they're going to take care of you.
It's JMV, and fall is in the air at Sundown Gardens in Westfield and Miss M's Home and Garden in Bargersville. Locally grown mums and pumpkins are everywhere, along with fall annuals and a wide selection of fall decor. Stop in this week to get your home beautified and in season for the cool days and crisp fall nights. Locally grown mums and pumpkins, plus fall annuals and decor, all at Sundown Gardens. Up north at 186th and Spring Mill Road in Westfield and Miss M's Home and Garden. State Road 135 just south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
Game day starts with the Colts Ultimate Tailgate. Join WIBC October 12th at 9:30 a.m. at the Slippery Noodle for drink specials, games, prizes, and all the pregame fun you can handle. Don't miss Indy's Game Day Kickoff Party. More details at WIBC.com.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for the last segment of tonight's The Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. Bit of a shout out, but also a question regarding the Trump DOJ. And listen, the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi, for the most part, has been, I don't want to say a surprise, but a lot of people had questions about Pam Bondi when she was selected, nominated, and then confirmed as Trump's Attorney General to run the Department of Justice, because she had taken some positions that a lot of people saw as being anti-Second Amendment while she was Florida Attorney General. So, for instance, while she was Attorney General, it was after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Florida passed a law that raised the age to buy a rifle or a shotgun under Florida law to 21. And listen, federal law says, and this is being challenged now, and something I'm going to talk about here in just a second, federal law says you have to be 21 to buy a handgun, but you can buy a shotgun or a rifle at 18. Florida passed a law after Parkland that said, no, you have to be 21 to buy a rifle or a shotgun as well. In addition, Florida very much beefed up its so-called red flag law. And both of those were challenged. Both of them were challenged in court. And while she was Florida Attorney General, her job as Florida Attorney General was to defend the laws of the state of Florida on behalf of the state. And she came out in favor of their red flag statute, came out in favor of the law that raised the age to buy a rifle or a shotgun to 21. And a lot of people looked at that and said, hold on, she's going to now be our Attorney General? That's a problem. And a lot of articles written on this, a lot of discussion. Well, since she's been in place under Trump, and Trump came out and said early on, he campaigned on this, he said this early after being inaugurated for his second term, that under his presidency, especially for his second term, because I'd give him about a C in terms of what happened during his first term. But he came out and said, hey, we're going to be champions of the Second Amendment, and the Pam Bondi-run DOJ has, for the most part, delivered on that. They have dropped some lawsuits. They settled the forced reset trigger lawsuit, resolved that in a way that, for now, certainly results in forced reset triggers being legal. I'm glad, because I have one in one of my ARs and love the hell out of it. It's a lot of fun. And they've come out positively as far as taking positive positions in other pending cases. And I'm still waiting for them to do more. I want to see ATF actually repeal the pistol brace rule. It's been declared unenforceable by the courts. That's great, but it's still on the books. I want to see it completely eradicated off the books. The ATF can do that if they want to. The bump stock ban's been declared illegal all the way up to the Supreme Court. Okay, let's get it off the books. And then one thing that, again, I'm very pleased to see, because this obviously is a huge issue and an issue that needs to be resolved by the Supreme Court, is Pam Bondi's DOJ has filed an amicus brief, that is a friend of the court brief. They're not actually a party, but you can file as a non-party to the litigation, but someone who's interested in the outcome of litigation. You can come in and file what's called amicus curiae brief, friend of the court. And the Department of Justice has filed an amicus brief in the case challenging the Illinois We just talked about suppressors being illegal in Illinois. Well, Illinois also makes so-called assault weapons illegal and so-called high-capacity magazines illegal. And again, don't quibble with me on the use of those terms. Yes, I know it's standard capacity magazine, and yes, I know an assault weapon, quote unquote, is a made-up political term meant to demonize the most popular rifles in America. But for shorthand purposes, that's what we're calling them in terms of the lawsuit challenging those. The DOJ, the United States government, has filed a brief supporting the unconstitutionality of those bans. That's fantastic. The DOJ has weighed in on New Jersey's complete ban on standard magazines and assault weapons. Where you have the federal government weighing in on these issues, that's huge, and I'm glad to see it. Where I'm a little bit taken aback and I'm disappointed is the DOJ is also taking a position, because I mentioned 18 to 20-year-olds being able to purchase guns. Well, the federal law that challenges the requirement to be 21 to buy a handgun, even though you can buy a pistol or a shotgun at 18, that's being challenged in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals on a case that came out of Louisiana. And the Fifth Circuit's actually already ruled that that's unconstitutional. That, yes, 18 to 20-year-olds have constitutional rights too, well, thank goodness, and are protected under the Second Amendment and their right to possess firearms, including handguns, is protected by the Second Amendment. And the federal rule saying you have to be 21 violates those 18 to 20-year-olds' constitutional freedoms. And that's beautiful. It's now been sent back to the trial court to apply the Fifth Circuit's ruling, which is this is unconstitutional, in particular to enter judgment that will likely have as part of it an injunction, meaning telling the government that they cannot enforce this 21-year-old requirement. The question becomes, though, how broad that injunction is. Because what we've seen in other cases is we've seen injunctions entered, and this is where even Trump's victory on saying that individual district court judges can't enjoin the Trump administration from enforcing immigration policy across the whole country. When that happened, hey, was that good in the context of immigration? Absolutely. I looked at that and said, well, let's be careful, because we've seen nationwide injunctions issued on behalf of gun owners, including back on the bump stock ban first and then later on pistol braces. Well, here they're now arguing how broad the injunction should be, and the Justice Department's taken a position it only should be the named plaintiffs in that case, not everybody else. That's something we'll see. We'll see how the court enters it, and we'll see whether that's upheld. Right now, that takes us to the end of this week's show. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you come back. Remember, always be safe, always shoot straight. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hey, it's Rob. And, fall can be the perfect season to tackle